friends. Welcome to your motivational Gen Z and Millennial Expert podcast. I am your host. My name is Dr. Jason Wiggins, and it is a pleasure to be here. I hope everybody is having a wonderful time wherever you may be as you listen to this. Let's get our heads right and let's jump into today's episode. We have an exciting episode that is based around your life memoir. And when you think about your life memoir, we would think about you're older, you're in your later years, and you're kind of going back to thinking about how things went. What kind of mistakes might have you made? What were some of your successes? What was some of the path and collateral damage that may have been caused getting to the point where you are today? Mistakes, positive things. Well, let's look at a memoir as something that doesn't have to be at the end of your life. And when you look in retrospect, let's say you still have time to make the improvements, to take the steps necessary to get to where you want to be. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So this podcast is for Gen Zs, millennials, and really anyone who has the desire to want to continue to improve your life, and you're still looking for tools and ways to bring success for your future outcomes. And that is why today we're going to kind of lay the path down about how we can move forward when maybe things have stopped. A life memoir is about things have now stopped. We sit here where we presently are and we try to decide, okay, what course of action do I take now? Maybe I made a lot of mistakes. Maybe I was incarcerated. Maybe I married somebody that wasn't the right move. Maybe I didn't treat my kids the way they should have. Maybe I was a bully and I regret it back in high school. I mean, all of these things. Maybe you have some collateral damage that you've caused along the way, but it's not time to give up. It's time to look at what you may have done and make that decision. What can I do better today and moving forward? Yes, it might make to where you have to make amends for some of the actions you had. You might have to look back at some of the tools you don't currently have that you need to get trained on, train yourself for success. And that is where life begins. Life doesn't just begin at birth. Life begins when you make that sudden, that drastic, that methodical change in your life that is going to propel you to make decisions that will help you and maybe your family, your friends, and those important people around you successful, or they understand that you've made the changes for the better. And that's why a life memoir is about not just what you've done, the good and the bad, but it's about how you are going to portray yourself moving forward in the future and making the ultimate decision that you are going to improve your life and those around you. That is why no matter what mistakes you've made, it doesn't matter. You will have to make amends for some of them. It's similar to going to AA. You have to admit you have a problem. Once you realize you have a problem, that's where everything starts to come in place. But if you don't think you have a problem, you don't think that you need to push forward and succeed and really try to create a path for success, then what happens? You just dwell in the path of destruction that you may have set yourself up to fail up at this point. Now, it doesn't mean you failed ultimately. It just means maybe some of us have taken the wrong decision, the wrong path, and that's created turmoil. And you sit here maybe at this point going, I'm not motivated. I'm in a life of turmoil. I don't know a way out. There is a way out. There always is a way out, no matter what. If you look at a hero, a portrayed hero in a movie, what happens? Yes, I understand it's mythical, it's a movie, it's acting, but they always have a way out. And that's why, as individuals, as leaders, as employees, whatever it may be and how you're impacted, we've got to determine, first, I have a problem. Second, what is my path to get out of this potential mess? Or how can I improve my life? Third is, what tools do I need to get out of this? And then fourth, what is the end goal? The end goal is how you perceive yourself. So that's why I would say number one is also get a journal. Start writing the things that are getting in your way to really, at the end of your life, have a completed life memoir about the great things you've done in your life and for those around you. It does not take somebody to create something fantastic. We're not all going to be Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, the President of the United States. We're not going to have that power. The majority of us are going to be civils, a normal part of civilization, and that is okay. There's nothing wrong with that as long as we lived our life with no regrets. I like to share this story because for me, this could have been a life of regret for me if I didn't make one simple decision in my life. And that decision was to not quit. When I was going towards my PhD, it's an uphill climb. It's a lot of sacrifice. It's a lot of giving up on some of the great things that you don't get to do. You miss out on certain things as you continue to plug away to reach that end goal of obtaining a PhD and having a terminal degree. I got up to the plateau where at that point I wanted to quit 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times. I just kept on telling myself, every single day I wake up, I will regret that I did not complete something that I put my heart and soul and finances into. And that's when I looked down that slope, down that hill, down that plateau. And I said, I am going to push forward. I am not going to live a day of regret. And that's why many will say that if you can complete a PhD, a terminal degree, you will likely be able to do anything you put your mind to. And that is what I want to talk about as we look at a life memoir about what we've done and maybe what we haven't and the path we're going to create. So we've talked about the tools is, admitting we have a problem. And then what is our tools to get there? What is the path and destination? How does it look? Let's write those things down to what we want to achieve and move forward and create a definitive path for success. And as you sit here going, great, maybe this works for some people, but it doesn't work for me. My situation is different. As you think about that and ponder that, you might be right. Actually, I know you're right. Your situation is different because every situation is different about who we are, what has happened to us in our life, the negative, the positives, the mentors, the mentees in our life that we've experienced great joy and maybe some sorrows with. That's okay. We have to look together and find a way out of this. Maybe somebody in your family is going through drug abuse, alcohol abuse, going through suicidal thoughts, mental illness, job loss, financial ruins, loss of a loved one. I mean, all of these are part of our daily lives. And unfortunately, some things we can't control. So that's what a life memoir is about. It's about, okay, now I'm at that time where I'm going to sit down and write about my life. And if you are still in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and even going into your 60s, you still have time to control, to dictate how your life is going to mold and move forward. And that is why I would tell everybody on this podcast, you can do anything you put your mind to. I will never forget a school conference when I was younger. I think we used to call them, we called them basically, it would be basically we'd have somebody come, some motivational speaker, and they would stand there and tell us, no matter what happens, you can always be better. And this life you have started out as a young child, you're just beginning your life. You have so much in front of you, but it's those decisions that you make are going to translate for the rest of your life. And as I sat there listening to this when I was in fourth grade, I pondered, what can I achieve? What can I do? And now that I'm older, I can still ponder those same thoughts. Why? Because it is not our time to call it a life memoir. It is our time to determine how we can shine, we can get the tools, we can lay the path, we can create a new level of success. Let's say you're happily married, you have a wonderful child or wonderful children, and life is going good for you. That's okay. That's great. That is fantastic. But there's always room for improvement. And what is improvement? Improvement is not money. It's not power. It's about how you view your life and you view how you feel about yourself. Do you feel like you've run your life, like you're ethical, like you're doing the right thing with the better good in mind? Then you are truly living a blessed life. However, if you are one of those individuals where you're envious, you don't want people to do great things because it's not happening to you, well, then we need to flip the page a little bit. When we flip the page, we look at, wait a minute, am I the problem? Am I holding myself back from really being able to push forward and complete the goals that I have set for myself? Because I'm so worried about somebody else and the success that they're having. And I'm mad because I'm not having them. Well, that's not a great way to look at life, because we have all had challenges thrown at us. We've all had obstacles that keep us from doing things we want to do and being great. I mean, all the obstacles and all of the negativity and the positives all the way up until this point have made us who we are. We are who we are because we are a product of our environment. It's not the fault of others about where we are today. The fault is when we look in the mirror. Yes, circumstances happen. Sometimes we don't all grow up in the same type of household. We're not all affluent. We don't have all the money that's been handed to us. Maybe some of us grew up in a rich family and we were very well off or political or whatever it may be. We all grew up in a different environment. But the truth is, are you ready for the truth? The truth is, there is nobody, absolutely nobody, to blame for any transgressions, anything that's happened in our life, except when we look in the mirror and we go, whose fault is it? You're looking at that person. That's whose fault it is. But it's still time to change. There's still time to amend for the negative things that we may have done to others, to ourselves. Sometimes we cause the most destructive path for ourselves. And that means we also have to get ourselves out of jams, out of negativity. And a lot of that starts with our mental well-being. It's about not just having your glass half full, but having your glass 3/4 full. Why? Because you're always looking at the brighter side. You're going, you know what? There may be some negativity coming my way, but I'm going to grab it and I'm going to throw it to the side, and I'm going to keep reaching for that positivity and finding something that has the greater good of not only what I can accomplish, but how I can help others accomplish those goals. Because when you put others first, everything kind of falls into place. Very similar to a leader. If a leader sits there and worries about how they're perceived by others and how great people think they are, and they sit there trying to live up to any perceived greatness, and usually that perceived greatness is just by that narcissist, and that's not a good way to lead. A good way to lead is by taking others and putting them first, raising them up, because when you raise them up, they're going to see that. They don't want to just see a figure that just thinks they're the greatest. They want to know that that person has my back. And right there is what a life memoir is about. It's about raising other people up around you. That's being a mentor. That's demonstrating that you lived your life for the greater good of others. You found ways to promote growth in others. Because when we all perish one day, people aren't just going to say that he was a good person, she was a good person, they tried their best. What they're going to say, they're going to pinpoint the things that they did in their life. And the things that are most memorable is about how they put others first. Now, we don't all have that ability to do that. There's a song by Carly Simon. It's called You're So Vain. You're so vain. They think the song is talking about you. Well, when you look at that, and if you think that song's talking about you, then that's where we have to flip the page. So when we write our life memoir, when we see our final days getting close, and we have the chance to reflect and look at the great accomplishments, maybe career, family, friends, and you lived your life the right way, your life was a success. And now let's say you publish that book and maybe nobody ever reads it. But that's okay, because we put it out there, we gave it our all, and when we finally do in this time on earth, we can look back and go, we did it. We did it my way. Just like Frank Sinatra said, we did it my way. So again, I implore everyone to take this opportunity to let's restart our life. If you're not happy with what we're doing today or what you're doing today or what the surrounding things around you are doing, then let's restart the life. It is never too late to restart your life and get back on the right track. No matter what collateral damage that you have had to date, it is now time to put your key in the ignition or push the button, whatever it is, and let's start that new engine. Let's start life. And as we talked about, the first step is admitting you're not where you want to be. Admitting that is the problem. Then it's taking those tools that you have and starting to guide a path for success. And then envisioning what that end result looks like. And once you have that end result, then you start writing down everything you have done to date, keeping a journal, keeping the significant aspects of your life, and never giving up. Always pushing forward. And then at the end, when you're writing that final life memoir, you have it all laid out. And guess what? You will have no regrets. You live life your way, and you will successfully navigate anything in your future and you know that you accomplished so much for your friends, family, and for all those that surround you. So I want to thank everyone for your continued listenership. I hope that this message was powerful enough to help you determine how to move forward, maybe some of the steps, or maybe you just felt like it was a bunch of jargon and I spoke too much. I've been known to speak that, but I hope this is reflective and helps you. And I want to thank all my listeners out there. I am truly blessed. And so this is, again, a podcast for Gen Zs, millennials, and anyone that wants to be impacted by a positive message of motivation, inspiration, and leading you to where you want to go. So thank you. Take care. And until next time, this is Dr. Jason Wiggins. Bye-bye.